Good morning, Trig. We are going to be covering lesson 36, and hopefully I have internet because the network has been really iffy around here. So hopefully this works. So lesson 36, we're going to start in 36.A. And this covers angles greater than 360 degrees. So first let's review that positive angles are, we always start from the x-axis, but I would go counterclockwise. So remember, positive angles are counterclockwise. Negative angles move in a clockwise direction. So always starting with the positive x-axis side, clockwise would give me my negative angles. So negative angles are clockwise. So that is just review. Also, let's talk about our terminal side. So the x-axis side, that would be our initial side. And the actual angle would create our terminal side. So if I said 50 degrees, right, 50 degrees would be more than 45, but we're just estimating. This is called our terminal side. So let's say this angle here is 50 degrees. So this section wants to go over that multiple angles can share the same terminal side. So 50 and 410 share the same terminal side. So for example, here is 50 degrees, but I would also, here is 360 plus 50 is 410. So both of these angles share the same terminal side. The same would be true of negative 410. So if I started here and went clockwise, here's 360. Did I mess up? Oh, yes, that should be negative 310. I'm like, wait, I am royally, and I can't erase my highlighter. It's a bummer. But negative 310 would stop there as well. So this section goes over several angles can share the same terminal side. So just be aware of that and know that they are going to be in a sum of 360. So like negative 360 plus 50 gives me the angle of negative 310. Okay, so we can have more than one angle that shares the same terminal side. And we would call these angles coterminal because they share the same terminal side. So for example, let's say negative 450. Positive 90 and positive 450 would all be coterminal. So for example, so here's, right, I know this is 90. So if I positive 90 would be here and negative 450. So negative would be clockwise. So there's 360. Why am I messing up? And then this should be, you guys, I'm messing up all over the place. Sorry, hold on. Should be positive 450. Positive 90 and positive, here's 360, 450. both of these would be coterminal because they share the same terminal side. They both end, here's this one, 360 plus 90 and 90. So 90 plus 360 would equal 450. These are coterminal. Okay, so this section just goes over coterminal angles share the same terminal side, and they're usually in rotations of 360. Sorry about that. That was all over the place, huh? 36 point B is on the sum of trig functions, so they're going to give you more than one to evaluate, and they're going to give you ones that have a sum or difference of 360. So I'm going to do several. So evaluate the cosine of 135 degrees plus the tangent of 330 degrees. Now, anytime they're asking us to use these trig functions, they're wanting to know the answers without a calculator. So I'm actually going to draw a picture for each. So for the cosine of 135, positive 135 would put me in quadrant 2. And I know that all students take calculus, so cosine is going to be negative here. Then I would try to find the reference angle. So I'm looking for the angle here, not of 135. I saw that on some of your tests. I'm not looking for the cosine of 135. Okay, I don't know that relationship. But I do know that 180 minus 135 equals 45 degrees. So I'm actually looking for the cosine of 45 degrees, but I drew the picture to know that I'm in quadrant 2, so I'm going to be negative. So I'm also going to draw reference triangles. Some of you didn't even do that, so draw reference triangles. So I've got my 30, 60, 90, so 1, 2, root 3. And I've got my 45, 45, 90, so this would be my 45, 41, 1, root 2. Anytime you see trig functions, you should do both of these. You should be drawing a picture for each to know what quadrant you're in. And you should be drawing your reference triangles. You can draw them one time, but then you have them for the whole assignment. So now I'm going to do the tangent of 330. So 330, going counterclockwise, right here is 180, 270, 330. So that angle right here, I probably should have gone further because this is, I'm going to make my picture a little more accurate. Sorry. There we go. That way it looks right. 360 minus 330 is 30 degrees. Now, all students take calculus, so I know it's also going to be negative, but I'm going to look for the tangent of 30 degrees because that is the reference angle. We're not talking about coterminal here, we're talking about reference angle. So coterminal means that I have like 770 minus 360 minus 360 would give me 50. So 50 degrees and 770 degrees are coterminal because they are rotations of 360. They share the same angle. Here, reference angles share the same terminal side, but I haven't rotated a full circle yet of 360. So the reason I drew this picture is first I'm going to do cosine of 45. That's adjacent over hypotenuse. But because I was in quadrant 2, I know that I'm negative. Okay? Plus the tangent of 30. Tangent of 30 would be opposite over adjacent. But I'm in quadrant 4, so I also know that I am negative. Now I need to rationalize. Remember, to rationalize, I multiply top and bottom by the bottom. So I have negative root 2 over 2 minus root 3 over 3. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and create the same common denominator. So I'm going to make these both 6. So I have negative 3 root 2 over 6 minus 2 root 3 over 6. I'm going to write this as one fraction. So negative 3 root 2 minus 2 root 3 over 6. Okay, now we're just going to practice several like that. Okay, we're going to start with review, and then we'll move on to how that is related to what we learned today about coterminal. So let's do one, whoops, I just ripped that out of my notebook. Let's do one more before we start working with coterminal. So evaluate the cosine of negative 60 degrees plus the cosine of 210 degrees. Now, they'll usually put negative angles in parentheses, just so you're aware. So remember, I'm going to draw a picture. I'm also going to have my 30, 60, 90, right? And I know that right there is 60 because it's the larger angle. So let's draw a picture. Negative 60, I'm going to go in clockwise. All right, so I know I'm in all students take calculus. So I know I'm positive here, and I'm 60 degrees. So that is pretty simple. Cosine of 60 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse, so 1/2. Because cosine is positive in quadrant 4. And I know I'm in quadrant 4 because I went negative, so I should have gone negative clockwise 60 degrees. Now I'm going to draw a picture for 210. So this is a positive 210, so here's 180. So 210 minus 180 would give me 30 degrees. So I am 30 degrees past, so I'm here. So this would be then the cosine of 30 degrees, but I am in all students take calculus. I'm in quadrant 3, so I'm actually going to be a negative. And cosine of 30 would be here, adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so I hope you can see why I did the cosine of 30. I should not see 210. If I'm seeing that, then I know you're not watching my videos. Okay, so I'm looking for the reference angle here, and 210 minus 180 would be 30 degrees. So if you'll notice here, I have a common denominator already. So 1 minus root 3 over 2. And the reason it's minus is because it's a negative because I'm in quadrant 3. So this would be my answer. Okay. Number 3. Now let's go ahead and deal with coterminal angles. So evaluate the cosine of 570 degrees plus the sine of negative 765. Now, when I go to draw these, I'm going to draw with rotations of 360. So, for example, I know 570 minus 360 would leave me with 210. So that is a picture I can draw. So watch this. It's positive. So here's 360. Okay, full circle. Now I have to go 210. So here's 180. Remember, 210 minus 180 is 30 degrees. So I'm going 30 degrees past, so I am here. Now, all students take calculus. I know that I'm in the quadrant 3, and I'm actually going to be evaluating the cosine of 30 degrees. So 570 and 210, I would say that these 570 and 210 are coterminal because they are 360 degrees apart. Okay, so just a side note, 570 and 210 would be considered coterminal. 210 and 30 degrees are related or reference angles because I'm using 30 degrees to evaluate 210. They're in the same place, I guess you could say. All right, so then I'm going to draw a picture here, but I'm going to do some math. So 765 minus 360 minus 360 would leave me with 45 degrees. Now I did that because I know I have to now make 2 full rotations, right? So I'm negative, so I'm going clockwise. Here's 360. I'm going to do that again, 360. And I'm left with 45 degrees, which would leave me right smack dab in the middle of quadrant 4. I know that because 90 minus 45 is 45. So all students take calculus. So I know I'm evaluating the sine of 45 degrees, but I know I'm going to be negative because I'm in quadrant 4. So if you have pictures of your reference angles, here is, I'm going to do the cosine of 30 first. So here's 30. So this would be root 3 over 1. But I know I am negative because I was in quadrant 3. The sine of 45, doesn't matter which 45 you use, it's going to be 1 over root 2. But I know I am negative because I'm in quadrant 4. Okay, so, sorry, this is just a little side note. I don't want it to get overlapped in our work. So here we go. I'm going to bring this down here. I have negative root 3 minus root 2 over 2. So I have to create a like denominator, so 2 over 2. So I get negative 2 root 3 minus root 2 over 2. I created a like denominator by multiplying top and bottom by 2. Next one. Evaluate the sine of negative, negative 390 degrees minus the tangent of 495 degrees. All right, so I know that 390 minus 360 would give me 30 degrees. So when I draw a picture, I am negative, so I'm going clockwise. So here's 360, right? And I'm going another 30 degrees, so that puts me here. I'm in all students take calculus, so only cosine is positive here, so I know it's going to be negative. And if you have your little reference triangles, I now know I'm evaluating the sine of 30. So I'm actually evaluating the sine of 30 degrees because that's what I have remaining. Tangent of 495, so 495 minus 360 would give me 135. Okay, so I know I'm going to make a full rotation with 135 left over. It's positive 495, so counterclockwise. So here's 360, here's 135. So all students take calculus. So I'm actually evaluating the tangent because 180 minus 135 is 45. So I'm actually going to be evaluating the tangent of 45 degrees, and this was a subtraction problem. So using my pictures, right, here's my 45, 45. Here's my 30, 60, 90. Okay, so the sine of 30 degrees is opposite over hypotenuse, but I was in quadrant 4, so I'm negative. Minus, now I'm doing the tangent of 45, which is 1 over 1, but I was in quadrant 2, so I'm also negative. So I have negative 1/2 plus 1, right? 2 negatives make a whole, which gives me positive 1/2 as an answer. Okay, so that is 4 different examples. Please use these to help you. And we're going to go ahead and go over, I'm not going to go over 36.C. We are skipping, so this actually finishes this lesson. For your homework for 36, we are going to skip numbers 1, 4, 6, 9, 21, and 28 through 30.
You're welcome.